Hey everybody, it's your board chair, Tim Conley again. Hope I'm not spamming you with all these videos. Some time ago the board made a decision to really up the game on communication, and this is a key part of that. Uh, we had a board meeting a week ago tonight. Actually, it's Monday evening right now, and 1 week ago we had the board meeting, and it's safe to say that 90% of that board meeting was spent discussing the condition of the building. I presented a slideshow concerning that, which I'm now going to run here and talk through with you as if you were at the meeting. There were 25 people who were. This is a really important time in the history of the building and in the history of your ownership of your unit. The uh, the I think we're in a nexus point in history where we're kind of pivoting and turning and really cleaning up some stuff. So without further ado, let me go ahead and show you the video. And there'll be some minutes coming with this as well. So let me see if I can do this. Um, and you should be looking at my screen. So, Surftides Plaza condominium repairs. This is the west side of the building. This wall is probably it's slightly more distressed than the north side of the building, but the two of them are in need of a good deal of work. How do we get here to the point we are where we're going to have to undertake a special assessment to raise money to repair the building? We got here when Surftide's tower in Florida collapsed due to parking deck neglect, and that sent shockwaves through the entire condominium industry that continue to radiate, so to speak. And I'm going to put these glasses down and see a little better. Um, so after that, visible deterioration was observed here at Surf Tides. We've known for some time that the parking deck, our own parking deck, was in distress. The lines for parking the cars were moved at one point. I held up a little piece of the parking deck at the meeting, which is this. It fell off the ceiling last week. This is evidence of the degree to which that deck is in distress. It's not quite at collapsible level, but you reach a point where it could be. So we've seen the visible deterioration here and other places. The board commissioned a building envelope inspection. Following that, we got an invasive building envelope inspection. So once we had the engineers come out and look at it from the outside, they said, you should look under here and see what's up. And we did. We started pulling boards off here and there. We did an additional invasive when we found insects. So a lot of boards, you can see temporary patches. Construction company came with the engineers. They looked inside and really gave this building a great look. Then we had the engineering firm do a professional engineering design of the repairs that are needed for the building. And then the engineering company has been assisting us with getting bids for the repair. We've had 4 bids come in. The board has met. This is all well documented. The board has met and eliminated 2 potential companies. We have 2 companies remaining. We're going to discuss that again tonight. So, total engineering costs to date about $85,000. Most of that coming from reserve. This is what they found. Sorry to put it in your face, but this is this shot from the north wall, I think. Not sure what the one on the left is. That is a screwdriver, which can go into the dry rot that's back there. This is an example of the insect inspection. I just feel like a picture is worth 1,000 words. The board and me and everyone could tell you all day what kind of shape the building's in, but you can actually see the pictures that were taken by the engineering company. This is the walking deck. I just wanted to point out this was one corner of a walking deck. Now this was repaired. We had them do a temporary repair, cut this off, etc., and shore it up. However, the decks that you use on the east side of the building to walk to your unit front door are in distress, and that's evidenced here. That's one deck. But if you went under this one or any of the other ones, you're going to see a similar type situation, which is why they're cracking up here. They're cracking because the subflooring underneath them is not holding them up, and the cement itself is holding itself up, and it's not going to fall down. I'm not threatening or anything like that or saying we're at risk of imminent danger. However, we're past the point where we could simply patch or repair any single piece of the unit. We'll get to the parking deck. Just held a piece of it up for you to see. This is called spalding, or I don't know what they call it, trouble, but repairable. The deck is nowhere near being condemned. it can be repaired and it should be repaired. This is an example. We've got one or two particular areas that are pretty distressed. We've got to take a look. Maybe this whole column's got to go. But we're doing it. We can't ignore it any longer. Back to the west side. Surf tides repairs. Let's see, that might be it on the slide. Oh, how we got here revisited. Um, Historically, the board and ownership have declined to repair. Sometimes the membership was never asked for money to repair the building. Other times they were asked and took a vote and said, no, we're not going to do that, or do it cheaper or do it ourselves. There was a lot of do-it-yourself fixer-upper around here. But at any rate, repairs, obviously, for the parking deck to look like that, for the walking decks to look like that, repairs that perhaps should have been done weren't. When repairs became inevitable, the association went very cheap. They used unqualified and vetted labor and companies. There's a putty and gravel mix in the walking deck supports. The low bid on the west decks actually further damaged the building. We're convinced of that. Engineering company was actually here on Thursday of last week doing a specific additional inspection of those decks to prepare a report to go to our attorney, to approach the construction company that put them back there and say, this was problematic enough that you need to fix what you didn't fix and the damage that you've done by putting things together the way you did. It's a problem. I wish I could I'm usually a pretty jokey, upbeat kind of guy, but the building is damaged back there and needs to be fixed. There's a window on the north end that was installed with no screws into the studs. That kind of stuff there's many of these things in the building. First floor deck supports are in the ground with no protection. You can see additional pictures in our inspection invasive reports where the wood goes right down into the gravel with no footing. The lines in the basement were moved so that these little pieces that were falling down wouldn't hit cars, and so the rain wouldn't hit the car. But that was a solution to the fact that those seams are cracking. Well, they're continuing to crack. So here's the number that I presented at the meeting, and I want you all to see this with your own two eyes. We're looking at potentially $4 million worth of construction from these guys, 4.8 with the second one. In general, we are more inclined as a board. We're sort of leaning towards these guys. We want to try to get them down, and that comes to roughly $65,000 per unit. The AUO may take an estimated $4 million loan for 20 years at 8%. These are ballpark figures, but they're in the ballpark. It's the level at which we're operating at this point. Good news is, there is financing that is available. Individual owners could throw a mortgage on their unit, borrow against the property if they wanted to, and pay the assessment. Some owners will have that money that they'll just be able to pay. Others, we will create a financing pool. We'll get a loan, put you in that pool. I'm probably going in that pool, and we'll pay this off with our quarterly dues as we go forward. It will be added to your quarterlies. So what we do now, if everyone in the whole association was in the loan pool, it would be about $546 a month, but not all 60 of us or 62 of us are going to get in that. Like I say, there's a handful that are just going to pay the assessment. Others may choose to get their own financing, so depending on how many of us go in the pool and what we need to borrow, it may not be the full price of the repairs because some of it will be paid up front by some owners. It'll likely be lower. Some owners would pay the full assessment. Now, a special assessment requires the approval of 32 owners, and ballots are being drafted. We're having a working session tonight. The language on those has been created. We're going to double check this with the attorney and be sure that our wording is all correct. But you can expect to hear from us again, us being me, the board, Secretary Randy, Nady, Lori, Susan, Wendy, and a couple of owners that are involved in helping us figure out the financing, Greg and Rita as well. EM is going to help us reach out to you guys and impress upon you the importance of approving this special assessment. We really need 32 of you to say, okay, go ahead, you can borrow this money and repair the building. I've spoken with Troy Foster of Surf Tides Plaza Management. He supports the assessment in order to repair the building. And Troy's company that Kimberly runs manages the rental management for almost 30 of the units here. That company also supports repairing the building. We just can't go any further. So we will be doing a special assessment and looking for half of you to do it. What if we don't? What if this membership kind of votes itself into, I don't know what, says, no, you can't fix the building? Well, well, about that, hazardous and harmful conditions exist. We know that. Biggest immediate concern is parking garage chipping away and the walking decks to access the units up front. Some common elements could be subject to common condemnation. I thought I used the word habitability on the slide here. Oh, there it is. It's the next bullet. Knew it was coming. Habitability of the property could be called into question, and that simply means we can't continue uh, to use and occupy the building if it's unsafe for people to be using and occupying. For example, when the engineer was here last Thursday, I went around the building with a management company and showed her how the balusters on the railing to the walking deck, I showed her where some of them had been uh, reinforced with a 2x6. And just by way of example, I said, because somebody went around and kicked each one of them, I kicked two of them and one of them came off, literally right there on Thursday last week. I hate to think what would happen if a kid ran into them. So I had the management company that day, that very afternoon, send maintenance around with a rubber hammer to hit every one of the balusters and see if any additional ones, and then went up to the hardware store and got some screws and repaired what we could. But that's the degree to which we are talking about habitability. You can't use a deck with unsafe railings, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know where it goes from there. Let me get out of my screen share and try to finish up with you guys. This news has been a long time coming. We've been working with the engineering company for, to assess the damage, to design what the repairs need to look like, to secure bids from four different um, building companies, to interview them, interview two of them. We're meeting again tonight, and we're going to be strategizing and reaching out to you. But I wanted this video to go out with the minutes. So it's right there in front of you. We finally have that number that we've all been dreading. It is larger than we would like. We're going to work to try to make it smaller by the time it gets to you. But meanwhile, plan for and consider that Surf Tides Plaza condominium building needs to be repaired, and all parts of it need to be repaired. If there are questions about the detail of that, of what it is, what that construction bid looks like, the bids themselves are on the website. You can go in and see exactly what it is that we had bid for repair, and it's really everything that's broken. You can see the entire inspections reports. If you really want to peel back the skin and look at everything that's going on with the building, those reports are also there. You paid for them. They're yours. They're there for any member that goes through the owner portal. So you can see the shape that the building's in, and you can see why it's somewhat of an extreme number that we need to come up with in order to repair the place. Now, after that, we've got a lot of questions that come up in the meeting. Can you continue to rent your unit or rent out your unit during the construction? Yes, you can. Will you know when construction is going to be here and banging the wall on the other side of your unit? Yes, you will. Each company has a communications officer. Our on-site property management company will be very involved in the scheduling and notification of owners. Parking will be restricted for a while and even further in different areas, because there's going to be, a great deal of construction materials stored primarily in the basement, fortunately. Every sliding door in the building is going to have to be taken off and replaced. If it meets code and it's there now, it can be reinstalled, but that's very, very few doors. We have to come up with a code that will prevent that, those ocean storms like we're literally experiencing now. It's Monday night. Keep those storms from blowing into the building and causing further damage to that wall. So the cost of the doors and windows will be unit specific. Other than that, the assessment is the same across all units, regardless of size. That brings me to, and then there's other little concerns that are going to come up for you as owners about having a construction company here for roughly 24 weeks. We're trying to get them down under 30 weeks of time to repair the whole property, and they'll do it in phases. The most damaged parts of the building are the west and north walls. Of most concern are the walking decks and parking garage. So We're leaving it up to the engineers and the construction people to say what they do first and the best way to phase it in, but it's going to come in phases, and you will know what those are. Um, yeah, the we're going to have a meeting in April, our annual meeting of the association. You'll be notified about that. At that time, I'm going to bring into consideration the bylaws and the covenants that govern the building and govern the association. They were written in 1974. For example, in 1974, the board gave the bylaws gave the board the discretion of spending up to $10,000 on repairs and maintenance at any time without a vote of the membership. Well, $10,000 in 1974, I looked it up, is roughly 65,000, just short of 65,000 now. So if the board's ability to spend money on repairs had maintained inflation relative to what was, allowed in 1974, perhaps some 20, 30, $40,000, $50,000 repairs would have occurred along the way, and the membership would not have voted, the association into the shape that it is now. There's been a good deal of over turnover among owners. I know that many of the owners that we have now had nothing to do with declining repairs in the past. What I'm really concerned with is that we do not decline to do repairs. Now we can't. We'll have to go forward one way or another. So I remain yours truly, faithfully, Chair of the Board, Tim Conley, available for questions, concerns. Email me. Feel free to email Secretary Randy, board member, Lori, Nini, Susan, Wendy, any of us. Reach out to us. We're more than glad to answer your questions. You'll be getting further communications about the special assessment soon. Okay, thank you.